Hello and welcome to my channel, Jersey Shore Pondscapes Videos. My name is Chris and I've been professionally building koi ponds, waterfalls, water gardens, and water features for over 25 years. I've put together this channel along with my website, www.pondscapesandmore.com, to help you design, build, understand, maintain, and ultimately, hopefully, enjoy your koi pond or water feature. We're going to be doing about 30 videos, maybe more, on just about every topic you can think of when it comes to ponds and waterfalls and all this stuff. And I really hope to share with you a lot of the knowledge and experience that I've learned over the years, and give you lots of tips and tricks on how to take care and build and construct your own pond. Okay, so please check out my website. It works in conjunction with this channel. Basically what I planned on doing was to set up this website with a bunch of pictures and descriptions that you can look at, and then come on to my channel and then watch different videos on different topics, so you can understand what's going on in those pictures, and vice versa, right? You can come on my channel, watch a video on a specific topic, and then go to the website and look at some pictures and see how it's actually used in action on my jobs. All right, so thank you very much for your time. Let's jump right in and get to today's video. Thank you. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out today's video. Today we're going to be discussing bottom drains versus ponds with rock and gravel in them. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this as partial as I can, but I know there's no way to do it. I love bottom drains. Every pond I have ever built and every pond that I will build in the future will all have bottom drains. Okay, I have never put rock and gravel in the bottom of a pond, and I never will. All right, so we're going to discuss here in this video why that is, and pros and cons of both systems. Okay, so this is a typical bottom drain. Okay, I have a whole nother video talking about bottom drains and how to install them and what they do, so please check that out. But basically what we want to discuss is the two different concepts of building a pond. Okay, honestly, probably 85 to 90% of landscapers and homeowners, pond guys, build ponds with rocks and gravel and not with bottom drains. I realize I am part of the minority that does that. Okay, and quite honestly, I don't know why that is. Okay, to me, this is the ultimate system. There's nothing better for your pond than having bottom drains gravity fit out to a filter system. Now, perhaps the reason why a lot of landscapers and homeowners don't put in bottom drains is because it's going to entail a little more work. But the benefits in the end, in the long run, are huge. Okay, I think. Okay, now we have this trend of thought that says I want to make my pond this natural environment. Okay, natural environment with all the rocks and the gravel, and it's beautiful with the plants and all that stuff. Okay, I get it. I totally get it. My ponds with the bottom drains, all right, have no rocks or gravel in it. It's all just liner, just clean liner. Okay, up, you know, the bottoms, the sides, everything is clean liner. I do a ring of rocks around the top of the pond that is submerged, 4 to 6 inches under the water, so you never see the black liner. It appears that the rocks are coming out of the pond, out of the water. But from there down, everything is plain liner. So occasionally I run into clients that ask me, well, what do you put on the bottom of your pond? I mean, is it just ugly black liner? And I say, yep. And the thing is that ugly black liner will get a natural green slime coat on it. Okay, the same as you will get on all your rocks in your pond. okay? Your pond will eventually get that green slime coat on your rocks. They're gonna turn brown, they're gonna turn green, all different colors. It will never look the same in the future as it does when you first install it. I promise you, okay? The dark color of the liner really shows off the colors of the fish a lot better than the rocks and gravel do. Okay, so I bring clients out to ponds that I've built, and they'll look at the ponds and oh, it's beautiful, oh, the waterfalls are amazing, the fish are awesome, the plants, the flowers around the pond are so beautiful, but they never say there's no rocks on the bottom. Okay, you're really not looking at a pond to, on purpose to look at the rocks and admire the rocks and the gravel on the bottom. You're looking at the fish, you're looking at the plants, you're looking at the lilies, you're looking at the waterfalls, right? The flowers around the pond. Okay? Now, yeah, I get it. The rocks and the gravel look nice. It's natural. It really does look natural in the bottom of a pond. All right? I have some clients that have rocks and gravel in the bottom of their pond. Obviously, I didn't build their ponds. I just help maintain them. I open and close them for them. I will do whatever work. I got to replace a pump. I got to, whatever, okay? And, a lot of them, well, a few of them don't actually look too bad, right? They're actually very well kept. I know the owners are pretty meticulous. They're out there with nets all the time. They're cleaning the leaves out. They're keeping the pond clean. They keep the filter systems clean. They don't look too bad. I know, however, that the majority of ponds with rock and gravel, I have to drain and clean, if not every year, maybe every 2 to 3 years. I'm draining them out and cleaning them. Because all the sediment that builds up in the water settles down to the bottom and it gets trapped in those rocks. All the organic matter, right, as far as algae, leaves, fish waste, fish food, you name it, all that stuff ends up settling down into the gravel and rotting. Okay, I'm going to be putting some pictures up over here. You're going to see some pictures here of ponds with rocks and gravel in them. And you tell me if that concept of a pond with all natural rock and gravel and beautiful rocky bottom, if that looks like this. Okay, this is typically what I see. Now, these ponds, like, I didn't build that. I didn't stage this. I didn't make that pond look like that. All right, this is what I see when I go to clients' house, and they're having problems with their ponds. Their fish are dying. The water quality is terrible. The pumps get clogged up constantly. It's a mess. It's a mess. Now, typically what I see after 2 to 3 years, these ponds with rock and gravel start to go downhill fast. Okay, because all this sediment starts building up in these rocks and it's all rotting and decaying there. All right, there's no way to physically remove it unless I drain the pond, take the fish out, and wash it all down. And even washing it all down is a pain in the neck. All right, it is not easy. It's almost impossible to get everything cleaned up out of that pond. All right, you drain the pond down, right? I have to move all the rocks in a low section of the pond to put in a sump pump, and I have to wash down all the rock all around the pond, wash it and wash it and wash it, and just keep flushing more and more garbage out, and hope at least to get it to a point where I can take my sump pump out and start filling it back up with water without all that water, that fresh water I'm putting in, come up all dirty and cloudy. All right, I have to keep washing it, keep washing it. A lot of times I go to people's houses and they're so frustrated with how dirty and how much maintenance is in the pond that they actually have me remove all the gravel and rock from the bottom. You know, it's such a chore. It's such a pain. It's really not a good job. And it's not cheap. It's a lot of work. Okay? My ponds with bottom drains, it's nothing but a clean liner. My liners are all angled, sloped down from the sides, and they slope right down to a deep section of the pond where all the sediment goes right down to the deep little hole, right where my bottom drain is, and out to my filter tanks it goes. It's easy for me to clean a filter tank. It's really easy. I have ponds that have been in the ground for 10, 15 years. I've never cleaned them. There's no maintenance. There's no reason to. There's nothing in my pond. There's no dirt in my pond. Okay? These systems are just so much better. It's just so much better. Okay? So, you know, you're talking a natural pond, right? Okay, so let's talk natural, okay? Lead, mercury, uranium, all these elements, they're natural. It's 100% natural, right? They'll kill you, right? They're toxic. So as we have all this sludge and sediment building up in these rocks over time, they're giving off gases, right? They're giving off toxins. They're growing bacterias and funguses and parasites. It's all like, man, these things love that environment. Okay? You're going to have a lot more diseases in your fish. All right? You know, I was listening to a pond guy talk one time, and he does all these natural pondscapes, right? Okay, beautiful. So his big thing was, well, you need a skimmer. The skimmer is the most important part of your pond because all the leaves and debris that fall in your pond that create organic waste will all then be sucked off of this skimmer. Okay? No, they won't. No, they won't. I guarantee you they won't. A lot of it will. A lot of it will. Okay? But now this is coming from a guy who's talking about a pond that was all full of lilies and plants. All right? Where do you think all the dead leaves and dead flowers and everything from all these lilies is going? They go to the bottom of the pond. Okay? So while he's so concerned about all the leaves and stuff that are going to fall in and debris that's going to fall in the pond and how this skimmer is going to take it all away, it'll take a lot of it away, but it won't take all of it away. That stuff all falls to the bottom of the pond. As it's rotting, it gives off nutrients. Okay? As the nutrients enter into the water, we're feeding algae. Okay? Your algae growth goes crazy. All right? Algae is a plant. Okay? Just like any flower you plant out in your garden. It's a plant. Okay? It needs three things to grow. Right? It needs your plant out in the garden, right? It needs soil, right? Where it gets its nutrients, right? It needs water and it needs sunlight. So if we have sunlight, water, and nutrients in the soil, our flowers grow beautifully, right? Okay, so here's our pond. Well, we have sunlight, right? We have sunlight. We're in water, and it's going to have plenty of nutrients in all the sludge that's building up in the bottom of the pond. All right? So here's our formula here. So our algae growth can go crazy, all right? Now, there's a lot of little factors, that can help balance things out. I mean, obviously, the other plants in the pond will help with that, provide shade and absorb nutrients and stuff like that as well, yes. But we are definitely looking at more sediment rotting and decaying, producing more nutrients in the water to produce more problems with algae. Okay. Now, so... I can go on and on here about all this stuff. All the rock and gravel, if you're going to put rock and gravel in your pond, make sure it's all washed off and cleaned before you put it in the pond and before you fill that pond up with water. Okay? Because all your rock and gravel has a lot of dust and dirt and garbage on it that once you put it in the pond and you fill it up with water, all that stuff's going to come up in the water. So I've had clients call me that just had a pond built, their landscapers put in a pond, and they can't get it clean. Okay, and I go over there and I look, and I can tell you in 2 seconds what the problem is. It's all murky, cloudy water from all the dirt and sediment and shit off the rocks that was never cleaned out before they filled it up with water, okay? Now the pumps and the filters have got to clean it out. Well, they got one heck of a job because there's a lot of garbage in the bottom of that pond, okay? So it's really going to take a lot of time. And all that dust and dirt from the rocks is feeding nutrients in the water for algae growth, okay? It could also affect the pH, right? God knows what kind of dirt and dust and whatever we're putting in there. Okay, so make sure all that rock and stuff is washed off. Now, I got 2 other points. The next one deals with water plants. Okay, planting water plants in a pond with rock and gravel bottom. All right. Sometimes these plants are left in containers, nice big containers, plastic containers, and placed in the bottom of the pond. They might be taken out of the containers and actually planted right into the rock and gravel directly. Okay, this is all beautiful now, but in a couple years from now, those rocks are going to provide such a great home for all the roots that these plants are going to spread through these rocks and grow and take over the entire pond, and it's going to go out of control. All right, here's a couple more pictures of ponds that have had, with rock and gravel, that have had plants planted in them, and they're just taking over the entire pond. All right, and let me tell you, cleaning all this stuff out is a real pain in the neck, to be polite. All right, it's a job and a half removing all that gravel and cutting out all those rocks with a sawzall, a knife, or a handsaw, you know, a square piece at a time to get rid of all the roots, because the roots can be this thick in the bottom of the pond. Look at this. I have one picture here. It was one corner of a pond. There was a big iris growing, and it's a complete mat of roots that's almost like 6-8 inches thick in the bottom of this pond. It just grew through all the gravel, and you don't even see the gravel anymore because all the roots grew so thick between the gravel and the liner of the pond, you don't even see any gravel anymore. But when you flip that all over, all the gravel is embedded in the roots. So, you know, cut that out with a knife. Ugh. All right? Be really aware of what can happen in the future. All right? My ponds, I have no rocks and gravel. All right? I put a plant in, it's in a black pot. Okay? Well, guess what? Yep, my liner's black. The black pot, the black liner, both get that green slime coat on it, both ends up looking natural. Okay? You don't even notice the pot. The plant starts growing out of the pot, the roots start getting too big, I can just pull that pot up and just cut it back, and I'm done. I'm going to put a video up here behind me now of a bunch of fish swimming around. Okay, this is a beautiful fish. This is a pond. In this area where I shot this video, it's right off of a deck. It's about 3.5 feet deep right here. There's nothing on the bottom but liner. Okay, this pond is about 5 to 6 years old now at the time I shot this video. And you can kind of see what the bottom looks like, but what I want you to see is how vibrant and nice the fish look against that dark background. Okay, and you know, what are you looking at here? You're looking at the fish. I'm telling you to look through the fish and look at the bottom of the pond. Okay, because I want you to see what the bottom of the pond looks like as well as the fish. Okay, because if I just played this video for you, you would just watch the fish, and then if I got done and say, did you notice the bottom of the pond, you probably would say no. Okay, all right, so here's one more last thought here. Actually, I got 2 quick ones. One is basically, all right, let's say in my pond, all I'm doing is the rock work around the outside of the pond and on my waterfall. All right. Let's throw a price on all the rock, say for this pond. Okay. Let's say $1,500 for all the rocks around the pond and my waterfall. Okay, that's what you're paying, $1,500 for all the rocks around the pond and the waterfall. Now, in these other ponds with rock and gravel, okay, I not only need to build all the rocks around the side of the pond and the waterfall, I got to do all the rockscaping and all the rocks inside the pond. All right, gravel, build some nice ledges, nice rocks, maybe some boulders in the bottom for the fish to swim around. A cave, maybe the fish can swim inside the cave, right? All different levels and stuff going on here, and gravel up on the top and all this stuff, okay? Looks beautiful. Makes it even harder to clean. All right? How much more money is it going to cost you for all the rocks now in the pond? Okay, well, if I'm only doing a ring around the outside and building a waterfall, and now I have to fill the entire pond with rock, I would bet you that the cost just went from $1,500 to maybe $3,000-$4,000. Maybe more. Depends on how crazy we want to get inside the pond. Okay, so now you're spending a lot more money on what is really just going to get even more clogged up and dirty and a mess, more of a mess in time. All right. Now here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of pond guys and landscape guys that do all this rock work and they make it look beautiful. It is. It's absolutely beautiful. I'll never argue that. It looks great for now. All right. But let me tell you, especially landscapers, okay, and our homeowners that do this, all right, they're not the ones that are going to come back and drain and clean this pond. I can almost bet you that. Because I don't know of any landscapers that put ponds in that are equipped to drain the ponds, take the fish out, put them in holding tanks with aeration systems or a little filter system on the holding tanks, clean the whole ponds, power wash them down, whatever you got to do. Right? Have all the chemicals for dechlorinators or whatever to put back into the pond after your fish, you know, are done and we're ready to put them back in. They don't have all that stuff. They're not the ones that have to clean it. So the landscaper comes, he builds this pond, does all the rock work, makes it beautiful, right? And then he goes off to his next job. And he's planting trees, he's planting flowers, he's putting mulch down, he's doing a paver patio, who knows? And that's great. But a couple years down the road, when that pond starts becoming a real mess, and the homeowner calls the landscaper back, what's he going to do? Right? He's not say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not equipped. I don't know how to do that. Obviously, well, whatever. Built the pond that way to begin with. So who do they call? Me. I'm the one that's got to go there and clean this out. I'm the one that's got to clean up all this muck and filth in the bottom of a pond, right? It's money for me. It's a large part of my business. Really, a big part of my business is draining and cleaning ponds in the spring, right? And then ripping these ponds out eventually and building new ponds my way with bottom drains. Because after I explain to the homeowners how my bottom drains work and how my ponds stay clean, they don't want that anymore. They're done with it. They've had enough headaches, enough issues with dirt and algae and mud and muck and cleaning it and added expenses of... They're done. When I talk about this, they're all in. Okay? So, you know, I'm the one that's got to clean these ponds out. And they're just a mess. They're disgusting, some of these things. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that every pond with rock and gravel is a disgusting mess. But a lot of them are. All right? So that's what I see every day. So I see these ponds, and I say to myself, like, I go there to clean it, and I'm like, oh man, it's terrible. And then I think about what I build and what my ponds look like. And it just makes me want to say, why would I ever do that? I am never going to build a pond with rocks and gravel in it. All right? Because I got to be responsible for it. And I'm going to have to take care of it. And I'm going to have to maintain it. And I don't want to maintain that. That's a headache. I want to maintain mine. What I can do is go once a month and clean the filters out, and I'm done. And it's really easy. Okay? My last little point here is dealing with leaks. Okay? If that pond with rocks and gravel in it has a leak someplace, okay, some kind of leak, wherever, in the liner, good luck finding it. It's covered with rocks and gravel. Good luck finding that hole. All right? It can be anywhere. All right? What's that going to cost? To rip half that pond apart to find a little hole that's this big, right? That's going to take a $5 patch to cover. All right? You know how much labor goes into that? Maybe in your best case scenario, the water level in the pond drops down to a certain level and stops. That might give you a good hint that your hole is somewhere around that level, right? Maybe a little bit less, but somewhere around that level. All right? The next thing you're going to have to look for is maybe, is the rock compromised anywhere around the pond? Did it maybe collapse in over here? Or did something fall in and knock rocks down over here or something? Maybe somewhere behind there is your problem. Maybe not. Maybe you start there and you find nothing. Then you start ripping out all the rock and everything all around the whole pond. And hope you find it before you make it all the way around, and then you say, I still can't find anything. You can have days of labor inside that pond before you find a hole. Honestly, I don't even want to get involved. I've seen that before, and I've honestly just told people I can't, I don't want to get involved. If you want to rip out the pond and rebuild the whole thing, I'll be glad to do it for you. I'm not spending 3 or 4 days here ripping a whole pond apart, trying to find a little hole this big to put a $5 patch on it. I just can't. I hate it. I hate it. I don't want to do that. What am I going to charge you? $1,000? $1,500? For my time for three days pulling rocks apart, pulling a whole pond apart, and then having to reset all the rock and all the gravel around here to fix a little hole that's... Right? It's definitely something to think about. All right? I get a hole in my pond. What's the worst thing I got to do? Not go push clean a little algae off of it, off of the side of the liner before I put a patch on it? Yeah, maybe $7,500. Your pond's patched, done, ready to go again. All right. It's a big difference. All right. Also, another thing that I've seen is people slipping and falling around the edges of their ponds because they use round river stone in these ponds, right? All the gravel is round river stone coming up, out of around the pond, down the hole and through the pond and on the bottom, right? We use round river stone basically because it doesn't have any sharp, jagged edges, right, to puncture the liner. So the problem is, though, is when it comes up around the sides of the pond, okay, usually on top of a rubber liner, you have round rocks. You step on those rocks, man, you got to be careful you don't slip down, all right? And I've also seen ponds where all the rock around the top half side of the pond have all fallen down, gravity, down to the bottom of the pond. So now there's like half of the pond is like missing rock, and in the pond, instead of being 3 feet deep, is 2 feet deep. Because it's got a foot of rock and gravel on the bottom from everything that's settled down. All right? So there's a lot of stuff to think about. I hate to paint that picture, okay? But it's the truth. Okay? These ponds look great for a little while, for a couple years. And then when things start going south, things can really start going bad. And the cost of the maintenance and the upkeep on it can really increase, okay? My ponds, bottom drains are kept so clean. There's a lot less maintenance. Okay, so I've rambled on long enough. Thank you for hearing me out and listening to me vent a little bit here. But again, I'm just trying to show both sides of what's going on here, right? I mean, this is what I do. This is what I see every day. I've been really successful building ponds like this for over 25 years. The amount of problems and issues that I have with these ponds are far less than what I see here, right? So this is what I deal with every day, right? I go to my ponds, I do my maintenance on them. The ponds are nice and clean, everything's working great. I clean my filters, half hour, 40 minutes, I'm done, I'm out of there. Everything's great. I come back a month later and do the same thing. You know, these ponds, I get called in all the time. The pumps are clogged, the filter tanks are clogged, it's just sucking in all kinds of garbage. The plants are overtaking everything. Fish are sick. You know, it just goes on and on. So, you know, all these pictures that I've showed you up here, you know, this is what I see every day, right? So again, I'm not trying to say that every pond with rock and gravel looks like, you know, those pictures look like a mess, but that's what I get called for. So maybe, you know, for every one client that has a pond with rocks and gravel that's a mess that calls me, maybe there's 5 more out there that are not a mess and look great, but they're not calling me, right? Because they're not having problems. 90% of the ponds with all these problems that are dirty and disgusting, they're calling me, and this is what I see, right? So I really just want to express with you the two sides of the coin. So, you know, and see my point of view as somebody who builds ponds like this that are nice and clean, and then I got to deal with that. All right, so two sides of the coin. All right, again, thanks for listening to me and rambling on. I hope I gave you some insight and kind of help you to make some decisions on your own as far as, you know, which way you want to go and what kind of pond you want to build for yourself. It does take a little more work to put these in initially, right? You know, we do have to, you know, set a filter tank and run levels and dig a trench and put plumbing in underground. It's not rocket science. And once it's done, the benefits are so much better in the future. You know, it's so much easier to maintain. The pond will cost you less. And, you know, in maintenance and stuff. So, really consider it, and if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Okay, I'll be glad to help you out any way I can. You know, if you enjoy the video, if you're learning a lot here, please hit the like button. And if you're really interested in ponds and you want to hear more and see more videos on all the filters and pumps and everything else, I'm going to have at least over 30 videos on this website. Please subscribe. I'd appreciate a lot. It really helps me to make more videos and support the channel. And I will keep putting out as much content as I can. All right. Also, check out my website, pondscapesandmore.com, all one word. I have a ton of pictures up on there with descriptions of all kinds of work and jobs and ponds I've created in the past. And you can see what they look like, you know, and then you can come and watch a video and learn more about how things work, and then see it in action in the pictures. Okay, so check it all out. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you, and have a great day.